Good morning, Team Tally Ho. How are you guys doing today? I hope you're okay. Today I'm just going to speak to you completely openly and from the heart, okay? So there's a lot of stuff going on in the world at the moment, and I feel like I just would like to give you guys my opinion and my take on it and really weave it into understanding why we do, why what we do with the Tally Ho project is so important. So we're completely passionate. The whole idea about the Tally Ho project is to inspire future generations to understand such values as duty, unity, courage and resilience. Four incredible values that can make a huge difference going forward, and four values that were completely inspired by the Second World War generation. That's what it's about. That's why we have these talks. It's about saying to you, look guys, this is what people are capable of. This is what humans are capable of when we work together. But it has to go back a step further, and we have to understand why. Why is it important that you guys take these values on and move forward in a really positive and inclusive way? And to do that, we have to really just take a quick look back in history. So we're going to start with the Second World War very briefly. And the reason I'm so proud of that generation is because the victory we won after the Second World War was a moral victory. So for the first time in hundreds of years, Britain and its empire, which thankfully the Second World War saw pretty much the end of that, it was a victory for us on a moral level. We did the right thing for the first time in a long time. We did the right thing, and that's why I'm so proud of that generation. Financially, like economically, we were ruined. We'd lost all our gold reserves. We had lost territory. There was a huge loss of life, sadness, suffering. You know what I mean? It was an awful event, but it was a moral victory. Which is so important for us. It was so important because for hundreds of years, the British Empire were on the other side of that conflict. So for the first time, we were the people being oppressed. We were the people who were being invaded. And it was a wake-up call for us. For hundreds of years before that, the British Empire had been on the other side of that argument. We had been the aggressors. We had been the invaders. And it's a really uncomfortable thing to talk about. There's a thing called post-empire guilt, which is where normal, good people look at the empire and think, ah, man, we treated people awfully, awfully. And I just think it's so important we start to have that conversation. It isn't taught in schools. It's kind of suppressed. But when you look at everything that's going on in the world at the moment, with Black Lives Matter and the search for equality, it ties into this. So let's just briefly look at the British Empire. The British Empire has lasted for around about 400 years. And it was a time of huge growth and expanse and wealth and discovery. It was a really exciting time as a country. Our sort of influence exploded around the world because we were an island, because we had a really strong navy. And it was a time of huge progress, but it wasn't a time in huge progress with regard to how we treat other people. And that's what life is about. Life's about us getting on together, working together, sharing ideas. Think of those core values again. Let's be dutiful, which means let's do the right thing. Resilient, let's find strengths. Courageous, the courage within. United, let's work together. Life's easier when we share ideas, easier when we collaborate, but that isn't what we did. So we have to face the fact that in our history of Britain was made up, or the British Empire, that identity was made up of colonialism, which means to colonize, which means to take over. And we were really successful at doing this. And we took over loads and loads of countries around the world, America, North America, India, with the East India Trading Company, again, about economics, growth, wealth, Australia, massive Burma, Singapore, Africa. And it was a time where we basically just trod all over the world. We didn't treat people very well. And when you look at the protests and everything that's going on at the moment with Black Lives Matter, it fits into that context. The slave trade of us taking slaves. ripping people away from their family, removing them, sailing to America, and using them as slaves is horrific and unthinkable, but it happened. We have to have that conversation. We can't forget that. And the protests that are going on at the moment are as a result of that. 400 years later, the echoes and the essence of that identity, this British Empire, is still here and is still happening. And that's what we're fighting at the moment. It's really deep rooted. It's unavoidable. And we have to address it. We have to have the conversation. We're not taught it in schools because let's face it, we're not massively proud of it. I certainly am not. I am very much someone who has post-empire guilt when I look back and think, oh my God, how on earth did we treat people? And it's why, me personally, why I love the Second World War generation so passionately, because their generation signalled the end of that. We were on the receiving end for the first time, and our victory was a moral victory. We did the right thing as people together, for the greater good, selfless. It wasn't about us, it was about we, it was about all of us. It was about freedom, the freedom for all races and all communities. That's what the Second World War was about, and that's why I'm so passionate about it. And that's why I truly believe if you extract the essence from that and empower future generations with it, they can make a huge difference going forward. I just think it's so important. Look, I'm so passionate about this generation, but I suppose all the events that have happened over the last few weeks have really made me think, why? Why is what we do at Tally Ho so important? And the reason it is so important is because we have to move forward in a different way. We have to empower children to move forward in a different, more inclusive way. Really trying our hardest to separate ourselves from that, the sort of echoes of the empire, not forgetting about it, but moving forward, learning from it and moving forward, okay, together. And that's what it's about. That's what Tally Ho is about. We have to make a difference in the world. We have to move forward in a positive way. And I think that those are the thoughts that have come through my mind this week. I know it's a little bit off the usual subject, but I just felt so passionate that I had to speak. I had to acknowledge what was going on, and maybe just give you a bit of historical context to it, okay? The Second World War generation, I'm proud of them because they did the right thing. Generations before them perhaps didn't. We're on the other side, and we can't forget that. And you have to understand what's going on in the world as a result of that. And we have a responsibility to try and move forward and make a difference together, all of us as people. That's what it's about, okay? And it's really why we do what we do. Courage, duty, unity and resilience. And together, the future could be a beautiful thing. Thanks, guys.